Let's look at these three sentences. Which one of them has a problem? This student works in the library. These student works in the library. These students work in the library. Well, any native speaker knows right away that the second one just doesn't sound right. You can say this student or these students, but not these student. Why not? Because in English, the demonstrative this has to agree in number with the noun it modifies. If we say students, we must say these. If it's a singular student, then you have to say this. And it's the same thing with another demonstrative. That hedgehog. But if there's more than one, then we say those hedgehogs. We're really not so consistent about this, though, in English. Most modifiers in English don't change for number. So if the hedgehog is fierce, we can say fierce hedgehog or fierce hedgehogs. And fierce doesn't need to change. So adjectives don't agree in number with the nouns that they modify in English. But Russian will be more consistent than English. They'll take this concept of agreement much further. Nearly all adjectives and modifiers will agree with the noun that they modify in Russian, for number, and also for gender and for case. Now, this doesn't mean that adjectives and noun endings will look exactly alike, but we will use a specific ending for, say, adjectives that modify a masculine singular noun in the nominative, and a different ending for an adjective that modifies a feminine singular noun in the nominative, and yet another ending to let you know when an adjective is modifying a neuter noun. Now, there's no need to get overwhelmed by all of the charts right away. Let's start with some examples, all of these in the nominative case. To describe dom, for example, a masculine singular noun, we'll use this masculine singular nominative adjective ending. And you can see that there are a few ways to spell it. I, or oi. We'll spell the ending I after hard consonants, новый дом, старый дом, and I after stems that end in soft consonants. Последний, синий. People sometimes ask how you know whether the stem of an adjective is soft or not. And the answer is just to look at that basic form that you'll find in the dictionary. They'll always list the adjective in the masculine singular nominative form. So if you see that that ending is ni, as in последний or синий, you can be sure that all the other endings for that adjective will have the spelling that you need after soft consonants. This is also a good time to think back to the spelling rules that you've been asked to learn. The 7-letter spelling rule tells us that you can't spell U after these 7 letters. So if a stem ends in one of these letters, then we will also use the I ending. Хороший дом, русский дом. And there was one more possibility. If the stress falls on the ending of the adjective, then the masculine singular adjective ending is ой. For example, большой дом. Easy way to remember this is to think of that most famous theater in Moscow, the Bolshoi. People sometimes say Bolshoi in English, but really it's большой with stress on the ending, and that's why it ends in ой. What about feminine nouns? To describe those, we'll need a feminine adjective ending, and we'll spell it as я or я. The letter a follows hard consonants, so we'll use that one after stems that end in a hard consonant. Новая книга, старая книга. The letter ya shows that the preceding consonant is soft, so we'll use that spelling я after stems that end in a soft consonant. Последняя книга, синяя книга. For neuters, we'll use the endings oye or ye. And as before, oye will be used after hard consonants. Новое письмо, старое письмо. And ye is the spelling we'll need after soft stems. Последнее письмо, синее письмо. And for these, we'll also need to consider the 5-letter spelling rule. Remember, you'll never write the unstressed o after these 5 letters. We'll write ye instead. So for the neuter form of words like хороший, we'll use the ye ending. Хорошее письмо. Now keep in mind that the 5-letter spelling rule concerns only unstressed o. A stressed o is fine after these letters, as in большое. And lastly, nominative plural. For the plurals in Russian, we don't need to worry about gender. All the adjectives before nominative plural nouns will have the ending 으예 or 이예. To choose which, we'll keep the same things in mind as before. 으예 after hard stems, новые чемоданы, старые книги, and 이예 after soft stems. Последние письма, синие письма. And whenever we deal with endings that have y or i, the 7-letter spelling rule comes into play too. So we get spellings like хорошие письма, русские письма. So, all in all, you'll need to think about around 4 adjective endings for each case, for masculine, feminine, neuter, and plural nouns. But you'll also have slightly different spellings to use after the hard or soft stems, and sometimes a spelling rule will be important too. And lastly, remember to consider stress. So be sure you're clear on the reasons for these alternate spellings, because they'll come into play for endings in all of the other cases as well. Here's a quick review of forms, this time broken down by stem type. After hard stems, новый дом, новая книга, новое окно, новые визы. After soft stems, последний дом, последняя книга, последнее окно, последние визы. The 7-letter rule will often be important for masculine and plural forms. Русский дом, русские визы. That rule explains why we spell the ending with i rather than y. And the 5-letter rule can be important for the neuter. Хорошее окно. 5-letter rule here explains why we're spelling хорошее with ye instead of o. And you'll see that the 7-letter rule explains why we have the letter e in the masculine and plural forms after sh. And one last set. Большой дом, большая книга, большое окно, большие книги. The ending is stressed in this word, and that explains why we have oi in the masculine, and also why we can have oye in the neuter. Remember, the 5-letter rule concerns only unstressed o. The stressed o here in большое is okay. And in the plural, once again, we see the spelling determined by the 7-letter rule. Summing up, it may take some time before these are second nature to you, so be sure to give yourself lots of practice. And if you're not certain you understand the spelling rules or the concepts of hard and soft stems, be sure to ask your teacher or review our podcast on hard and soft consonants.